So many people argue that we have surrendered some of our freedoms and submitted to the authority of the state through a social contract. The whole idea of a moral state rests on that social contract. If there is no social contract in place, then the state is just a group of individuals who illegitimately and immorally imposes their will upon others through force by creating and enforcing their laws. From a moral standpoint, it is evident that you can't enforce a contract upon someone who has not implicitly accepted that contract. You could claim that everyone benefits from the state, with which I strongly disagree, and therefore a social contract is moral. But if that were to be true, its implications are that you could apply that same principle to just about anything. Would you say that individuals are better off having a car, and then therefore everyone should be forced to buy one? You can't. Or that people benefit from going to the doctor to get vaccinated, therefore everyone should be forced to get vaccinated. Now you may be somewhere in between. Would you say that people benefit from medical insurance, and then everyone should be forced to get one? Now you may be even leaning towards yes. But why? Why are not all your answers the same? These questions all rest on the same principle. That is, someone thinking that a specific product or service is beneficial for everyone, and concluding that then everyone should be forced to get it, using violent means if necessary. It's not hard to spot the immorality of that principle. And once you realize that imposing contracts upon others is immoral, it follows that the social contract is immoral. But let's assume that you don't hold the idea that imposing contracts upon others is immoral. In that case, the social contract would also not necessarily be immoral, and you could get away with the idea of a moral social contract. That's when logic comes in. Not that there's no logic involved in morality, but before we consider the logical approach, you have to understand that logic does not deal with opinions or desires. It deals with solid, reason-based principles. In order for a principle to stand to the light of logic and reason, it has to be universal. If it's not, then it would mean that they apply to certain things and not to others. Kind of like saying that 2 apples plus 2 apples make 4 apples, but 2 oranges plus 2 oranges are the square root of 5 pineapples. If 2 plus 2 is 4, if it's not a universal principle of mathematics, then it's irrelevant. So if you want to hold the position that the state is a good thing, then that obviously is an opinion. I certainly have quite the opposite opinion to that one. Anything you get from the state that you assign value to, I may assign different value to it, or even negative value. Value is subjective. It's a personal preference. So if you hold the position that you can impose a contract upon others because of the value that you assign to it, then in order for that to be a logical position, you would have to accept the fact that everyone can impose contracts upon others as long as they assign certain value to it. If not, it's like saying that 2 oranges plus 2 oranges equal the square root of 5 pineapples, while 2 plus 2 apples equals 4 apples. So everyone being able to impose contracts upon others who have not accepted them is an absurd position to have, because it does not apply to reality. It would be impossible for everyone to have the power to impose contracts upon others. Now, if you decide to use an argument from democracy, saying that the social contract applies to everyone because the majority accepts it, then for that to be a logical position, you would have to accept that everything a majority decides should be enforced upon others. So to hold an argument from democracy in favor of the social contract, you would have to be okay with the systematic killing of everyone whose name is Peter, who's wearing a black t-shirt, if that's what the majority has decided. If you say that that's an extreme position, then I say that the majority trying to impose the state upon others is an extreme position. What is the difference? Your perception? Your opinion? Your prejudices? It's certainly not logic, because both cases rest upon the same democratic principle.